So you all wanted a deck profile featuring this guy. You got it. What's going on, you guys? Slim here, finally back with a new deck profile, and as you guys requested, I am giving you guys my first draft of Dark World with Colorless. I gotta be honest, I did not think I'd be making this profile. I honestly don't think this is the best card to come out for the deck. I'm gonna be straight up honest. However, I did want to at least give it a chance. I think that in theory, the design of it is really cool. Only problem is we've entered into a format where destroying stuff is really not the best approach, but for anyone that's playing Dark World, you guys know, no matter what, no matter if Drolls everywhere, shifters everywhere, we're still going to try to play this deck. I don't think it's the best deck to play in the format. However, it is a deck that I absolutely love, and I want to show it off for you guys. Just my first attempt. I've seen a lot of really good input and insights from a lot of different people, a lot of different creators who have who still give time to Dark World. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Be sure to smash that like button. You guys know what to do. Subscribe if you're new here, and we will get into it. So the main thing that hindered me from having to really kind of like showcase this with Colorless is that you do have to play a real brick in Rainbow, but we will discuss that when we get into it, just to show you guys what I came up with. I have changed the deck around a little bit from how it was before, and I'll even talk about some cards I'd probably want to play in the future, so we'll just use this as a draft just to see. Now, I still think the deck is fine without Colorless. I don't think you have to add Colorless to it to make it better, but it's just something you guys wanted to see. So yeah, so we'll get into it. I'm gonna blaze through a lot of this because a lot of this you've all seen before. I don't think Dark World deck profiles really need to change that much. You really just have to play the standard, just like the good Dark World monsters. Of course, 3 Rainbow, 3 Genta, and 3 Snow. This is never gonna change. These are the best Dark World monsters. I've seen some lists where they've cut Rainbow to 2. I don't understand. Like, good Rainbow is insane. Bad Rainbow is bad. Like, good one is good, one is bad. So that's pretty standard. And then still doing the double Graph and the double Silva because we are still trying to hand loop. Like, my whole point that I realized with Dark World is that it's a full combo deck. Like, there is no real other way. Like, you really want to hand loop the opponent. If that doesn't work out, you're playing what I call 2024 Goki combo, because I actually played this deck at a locals when I was up in NorCal visiting family, and the deck was really like just nightmare combo. That was really it. Like, I lost a lot of die rolls. I think I went first once, and it was actually in the mirror match, so it was like super weird, but you honestly are just trying to hand loop. So of course you do need the Cerulli, of course, in order to do that. I would never up this to more than 1. You really just don't, like, your whole goal with the deck is just hand loop and then set up your board, and then Colorless kind of plays a role in that, like for a follow-up play. Also going second, it can also give you some pretty crazy interruption, just depending on what you play against, but the standard stuff of just hand looping your opponent is still there. And then this is the thing that just, it's very hard to justify this, except for the fact that it is required. Like, if you didn't know, with Colorless, it literally says you have to play Rainbow Overlord of Dark World. And yeah, this is the bad one. This card does nothing. If it's discarded to your hand in the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you special summon it from the graveyard. And if it's special summoned this way, you destroy all monsters your opponent controls and or all spells and traps they control. This like doesn't come up. This card is literally a brick. You can maybe get lucky with it, but it really just adds nothing, sadly. I still remember when this card first came out eons ago, like back in my day, like literally back in the day when this card was first announced. Yeah, it really didn't add anything to it. It wasn't really a card people wanted to play. It was not one of the good Dark Worlds, and unfortunately that really hasn't changed. I'm just glad that, you know, it at least serves a purpose, I guess is the best way to say. And Colorless is one of those cards that, it is a pretty cool card. It is a pretty nifty effect. It's literally like literally a bolt card. Like, shout out to my boy Alaric for just literally handing it to me, because I didn't have one. I was never buying packs to get one. So yeah, the real downside is that you do have to play this card. However, I mean, you can still get, you can still use your Ascension to get to it, so it's still fine. It really just becomes one of the few bricks in the deck, and that's my only issue. Is I don't really like playing bricks in a deck. Cerulli can be a brick, Rainbow can be a brick, so you really try to minimize that, but it is a necessary engine requirement in order to play Colorless. Now, enough of that, ranting on that. With the other, standard Dark World stuff, of course, I'm still playing 3 Corridor. I'm a firm believer. You can play 2 if you want. I've seen people play 1. I'm absolutely just baffled. This is a custom card for Dark World. I feel like you have to play honestly, I just fully believe in 3. Like, I'm never going to change that. The thing that I did change, though, is I changed gates to 2. I did notice a lot in testing that I was just drawing multiple gates. Gentas were dead. It just, if you don't have anything going and you open this card, like, it's just dead. And, like, I'm really trying to minimize the bricks, even though we have to play bricks in the deck. So that's just standard stuff. And then still the 1 Ascension and the 1 Archives. Nothing's changed here. You can always recycle the fusion spell. You only need 1 Archives. The main thing that I love, though, I am loving Ken and Gen. I never played him before. Gen and Ken are absolutely ridiculous. It only sucks, you know, you could argue that you need a better normal summon. Like, I did watch, I believe the channel's name was Zephyr, that did a profile of this deck. He's a Dark World enthusiast as well, so shout out to him. I'll have a link down to his channel, like his deck profile. I did like his approach, though, in Dark World. He was playing Quakimeru Guardian, which can eat Droll up, which is pretty good, because honestly, I went back and forth. Do I play Tour Guide and hope to open it and play around Droll? Do I play the one of Called by the Grave and hope to open it in 40 cards? Like, there were just so many situations I went through in my head. And I was like, you know what? Dark World is a hard combo deck. You know, you just kind of have to accept the fact that if Droll is going to be in the main deck with Fire Kings and all, and Snake Eyes and all these decks in the format, you know, you just can choose to play Dark World and just kind of YOLO it, or you can try to, unfortunately, lower the consistency of what the deck wants to do with cards that might play around Droll. So at that point, I just decided, you know what? I'm still just going to play Gen and Ken. I'm going to go for the hand loop, and it's pretty crazy. You'll see another really cool card in here that I play as well as another alternative way to loop the 5th card if you don't get to talent. So I'll explain that as well. I got that from another awesome deck profile that I'll link down below. Like, one thing I'll say about Dark World players is if they love this deck, they will find ways to innovate it. They will find little things that I never seen before, and it really does make the deck really just, you know, really awesome. And maybe there'll be a format where Dark World really is just really good meta call. I'm waiting for it again. I'm always gonna have this deck on the back burner, but I'm still playing the dangers. Honestly, like, with Droll, I mean, you guys already know, reveal, you may special, you may draw a card, they may Droll you, you know, it is what it is. I just lowered, you know, I lowered my count a little bit. I was playing 3 Nessie at one point, but I cut it down. I was playing the Catalyzer as well. So there was a lot of things. Oh yeah, I'm playing one Bigfoot too. Honestly, like, I don't know what to really say. Like, all of these are fine. I went back and forth on Snake. Like, it doesn't have any synergy, but it is a free body, so that's why we still have it. So it's still one of the decent ones because you can still summon it. I lowered Chupacabra. You know, just keeping it at 1 is fine, and 2 Mothman is fine. I really don't like my opponent drawing cards, but you know, like, it's just a little bit better with the Shufflers gone, and all these other ones are standard. So I kept the danger count pretty slim compared to other ones in the past. Rest of the deck, cut Allure to 2. With Ken and Gen being light, you just, like, you have less darks, and honestly, I didn't want to banish that many combo pieces. Like, I was able to replace the 3rd Allure with a better card, so card destruction still in here. And then I did actually get a copy of Thrush. Shout out to my boy Gio for hooking me up, because I literally needed one. I didn't feel like I needed to play more than one. This is a combo deck. You literally are just going through all these cards. You know, you're pretty much seeing your whole deck. You guys are probably wondering where the Change of Heart came from, so again, I'll shout out a deck profile that I saw from the Santa Clara Regionals a couple months ago. I did not know about the synergy with Ken and Gen. Basically, the way it works is you would summon, you guys already know, you would summon Gen. If Gen resolves, you summon Ken your opponent's side. Well, you know, we're cycling through our deck and everything, and eventually, you know, you may draw Change of Heart, you may get to talent, you may get to thrust. Like, you might get to one of these options. This is a thrust target. Well, you can actually change a heart the Ken, use Ken's effect, summon again your opponent's side, and then the effect reads if Gen is summoned by the effect of Ken, discard 1 card. So literally your opponent would discard the last card in their hand. So you would still find a pseudo way to basically hit the last card in their hand, you know, completing the loop for 5, depending on, you know, how you open. So I really like that. I want to try this out. This card was actually also insane, just going second, especially like you lose a die roll like this. Just gives you another interruption to a board, and since we're link climbing a lot, you can actually use this card a lot to just, you know, link climb and get to what you need to. So that was a main deck. It was 40 cards even. I really like this take. I'll admit I'm not 100% sold on playing the real brick in Rainbow, but to showcase the deck with Colorless, I felt that we had to play it because it's an engine requirement. But yeah, so this is Colorless. So if you don't know, you do need Rainbow, Overlord of the Dark World, and +2/+2 Fiend monsters. And when it's fusion summoned, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. And then this card's attack and defense becomes the number of materials used for its summon times 1,000. And then this is the part of it I really like. So once per turn, it's a quick effect. You can target 1 face-up card you control, discard 1 card. Also, your opponent cannot target this card with face-up card effects for the rest of the turn. So it is a quick effect. It is a way to you know, get another discard out and get more damage, get more stuff stuff in. So again, I'm not super sold on this card, but I did want to showcase it. I think that there is a way to make this card really, really good in future formats. It is a good clapback card, especially with Ascension, especially have it set up. I just wish it could work with other Rainbow, but you know, they gave it this restriction, so it is what it is. But I still think it's a cool card in concept. And then the rest of this is pretty much standard. I'm still playing 2 copies of Grapha. The second one comes up a lot more than I ever thought on the clapback. If we're not aiming for colorless, this comes up all the time. Muttcracker, this is just the best link. These are to bounce Ceruli, also to bounce Dangers, also to bounce Ken or Gen, depending on the situation. Just getting more cards back to your hand just for more discards is really good. And then this is obviously for the loop. And then I am playing the Dark Charmer. This is why I called it Nightmare combo. I'm playing all the Nightmares. I do not own an SP Little Knight, not yet at least. Definitely include SP Little Knight if you do have it. You can cut, I guess, Phoenix for it. But all these Nightmares come up, like literally you are Nightmare comboing, Goki comboing as I call it in 2024, like literally being able to change a heart, being able to talent and take a monster, because going second, obviously you're not hand looping them. So if you lose the die roll, you kind of just play that game, you switch the game plan up, and you literally just Nightmare combo. Like you can dark back an SP, which is crazy, and then you can just keep link climbing, and it's actually nuts. Like you can still break a lot of boards with what these cards do. They co-link, they draw cards. It's really solid, so it just gives you a really cool game plan. We're still aiming for the Muttcracker Griffin combo, like just to lock the opponent out with the fusion to the right or left of Griffin, so pretty solid. And then Saryuja, just in case, you know, we have to dig if we don't get to anything, so that gives us an option. One thing I do like about this deck, another reason why I'd want to put Catalyzer back in, is you can play Dweller, and Dweller against Fire King is just obviously insane, as we also lose to this card, but Dweller against Fire King just seems really solid if you can set it up, especially if you know post game 1 that that's what you're playing against, or if you talent early and see you're playing against Fire King. If you can find a line to set up Dweller, I like this a lot. And then of course Dugaras and Giant Trainer, obviously to draw cards. It's also as good in time, so pretty standard stuff. Again, like I said, if I had an SP, I would have it in here. I cut like Underworld Goddess. I never played Appaloosa. I felt like it wasn't necessary. I felt like you were just winning anyway because your monsters were so big. So that was pretty much the whole approach with the deck. But overall, honest opinion, while this is a very cool like addition to the deck, I just feel like unfortunately it's not something that I would suggest for extremely competitive play. Destroying cards is not really what you want to do. Having to play a brick is not the best thing. Like, I just want to be honest with you guys when it comes to this. However, I still think that if you are a Dark World enthusiast, if you are someone that does believe in this deck, that does play, you know, at a local level, even if your area is not as competitive, if they're not all playing the Fire King deck, this does give you something to work with. So I still think it's worth giving a try, but there were definitely other options. Like I said, you could play I really like Zephyr's approach with the Quackimero Guardian. I thought that was interesting. The fact that it was a 4, the fact that it could negate Droll was pretty solid. Well, every deck, main deck Droll, it's hard to say. Early format with all the cards coming out, you know, post all the Fire King stuff that's come out with Populous or whatever it changed its name to and everything else. I feel like people may main deck Droll, whereas that's unfortunately what this is this deck's worst enemy next to Shifter, but still gives you an option. You can also look into the Unchained cards as another option if you do get Drolled, if you do get Shifter. There are still some things you can do. Shifter probably is the hardest one to play around. Droll, honestly, unless you're dedicating a way to out it, like we have discussed in previous profiles, it is hard to do. But overall, if you want to give Colorless a shot, this is what I would suggest. If you do not want to play Colorless, you can literally turn this into another Danger, into Catalyzer, into I don't know, Unchained Shavara if you want to go the Unchained line. I didn't play Upstart. Like you Upstart, they Droll, you pass. Like, it's just not worth it. I really thought Upstart was going to be great, but with Droll in the format, I'd rather just play more cards. Like, I'd rather dig to a 2 with the lore. I'd rather play other cards, so that's why Upstart's not in here. But again, you can play it if you want. I saw a list that actually did have success with it. He probably didn't run into Droll that much, so I was pretty lucky. But overall, those are my thoughts on it, and hopefully you guys did enjoy. So by all means, this is not a perfect deck list. This is just my first attempt at trying to play colorless with this deck, and hopefully you guys do enjoy. By all means, in the comment section below, let me know any changes you would make. A lot of people are not a fan of Ken and Gan, unfortunately, right now, but I still think that they are just so good for the deck that I would still play them. There was a time I was even playing Rhoda, but again, I don't want to lose hard to draw like with Upstart, so I ended up cutting it. But overall, I think Dark World is a deck that it may not be good right now, but depending on how the format shapes up, if Joel shifts more to side decks, then maybe we have a chance, and then we just account for it in the side deck. There's cards like Dark World Puppetry and other cards that I really want to try. Having a built-in soul release in Dark World is crazy with the discard, so definitely something to think about. And since we do have more access to Thrust now that it's been reprinted, I think that there's a lot of good Thrust targets that Dark World can play as well. But I've rambled enough. This profile was longer than I wanted it to be, but hopefully that answered a lot of questions. And by all means, leave any questions, any comments, any suggestions, because trust me, if there's one deck I take a ton of feedback on, it is this deck, because no matter what the format, I love this deck. Probably it's easily still in my top like 5 Yu-Gi-Oh decks of all time, so I don't ever want to give this deck up if I can help it, and if it can find its way into a format, we'll definitely keep playing it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Be sure to smash the like button if you did, and I will see you guys in the next deck profile. Thank you for watching.